Cheering at pro wrestling shows in Japan is back, and 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year in the history of pro res. That's why you should listen to the Emerald Flow Show. From the Royal Road to the Green Mat, Paul and Gerard take you into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Not only do we analyze events, but we examine business, who is getting over, what angles are working or not. Occasionally, we take a look at other Japanese promotions like DDT and Zero One. So if you're looking for more coverage of the world of Japanese wrestling, check out the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, not joined by David McDonald this week. It is David's birthday, and as a special birthday present for him, I told him not to bother recording this silly podcast for 1 week. So instead, a special treat for you. We have the host of Wrestling Omakase. We've got John Carroll in the house. John, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been quite the week for me, Joel. I'm appearing on the Super J-Cast. I'm getting replies from Tony Khan on Twitter. Just non-stop fun.
Oh, okay, right. Talk us through this Tony Khan, because it was actually quite funny.
So I quote tweeted him, which what I thought was a kind of funny joke, where I'm like, basically, it was something like, I was like 99.9% of the time when people say Tony Khan's tweets are funny, they're just doing the, another magnificent post, sir, like, kissing the rich guy's ass. But this was the 0.1% of the time it was funny. It was because he used a Sopranos meme to make fun of WWE and calling them the Fed. I always pop for any time people call WWE the Feds. I thought that was funny. And unfortunately, I typoed and wrote 0.01%. So nobody noticed this. People were liking the tweet and everything. No one even said anything. But he noticed it. So he replies back, what about the other 0.08%? And of course,
and as the maths coordinator of my school, I always respect a good maths joke.
Yeah,
so, I'm hoping you hit mute on that immediately.
I hit mute on it immediately. I did quote tweet it and just say I said something like the other 0.08% is when you make fun of a random idiot on Twitter for not being able to do math, and trying to make fun of myself and go with it. And he just replied back with another Sopranos meme, which was which is funny because I'm actually rewatching The Sopranos right now. But anyway. It's like the Artie character telling Tony, because Tony, obviously, that I can't do math because I'm an artiste or whatever. So I think Tony Khan was having fun with it. It's not like he was I'm not worried about the billionaire hiring a hit squad to take me out or anything. But
yeah, it sounds like quite a good-natured interaction.
But his fans, of course, are out of their fucking minds. So I had to mute both threads immediately.
You surprised me.
Yeah, so I had to mute both threads immediately because people were just going completely insane. And one of them was one that got through right away was
defend the billionaire.
Yeah. One of them that got through right away was like, oh, why you just take the L, fatty? And I'm like, buddy.
Christ.
How is me making...
relax, man.
Yeah, how is me making fun of myself? Because this was probably the second thread. I'm like, how is me making fun of myself for not being able to do math, not taking the L? It's not like I quote tweeted Tony Khan and said, fuck you, you asshole. I went along with the joke and made fun of myself. And this guy's like, take the L. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I took the L. And he's like, wow, then why'd you mute the threads right away? I'm like, well, because I'm getting, it's not because of
people like you.
Well, first of all, it's not really because of people it's not just because one guy called me fat on the internet. It's like, thank you. I have a mirror. I know I'm fat. But it's just because of the sheer volume of replies you're going to get to anything he fucking tweets. It's like, you think I want my mentions to be Omega AEW 52421, and I'm barely exaggerating. That's one of the replies I got. One of the accounts that reply, just for the next 3 days being yeah, Tony, get him. I'm just like, okay. Of course I'm muting the threads. What do you want me to tell you? But I just thought it was funny. So...
It was. I would love to get a quote tweeted from Tony Khan.
No, he just replied to me. He didn't quote tweet me. He replied. But people look at this guy's replies, of course. So, But it was something. It was something. So at least I can always say, like for the rest of my life, that I got a billionaire to, instead of doing the limitless number of things he could do at his leisure time, like almost literally limitless, he could do whatever he wants. He decided to reply to me on Twitter and correct my math. So that is, I feel weirdly accomplished that I got him to do that. So it's like if I had, if I had a fucking $1 billion, I don't think I would be spending my time on Twitter replying to random idiots like 0.8%. So I'm like, just the fact that I got him to do that is just so absurd to me. There's something in my head where I'm just like, yeah, that's just so crazy that he actually bothered to take time out of his day. He could do anything. He could go, like, you had that kind of money, obviously you could do anything. And he's replying to me on Twitter. Just kind of fun. So.
Yeah, he's a chronic poster, and I respect that, to be honest.
It is kind of funny that he's such a chronic poster that he's still replying to people on Twitter as a billionaire and everything. And he has like 5 jobs, doesn't he, too? Like, where does he even find the time?
Yeah, I wonder how the Fulham fans are feeling about all this. The guy's supposed to be running their club.
Is Fulham any good or not? I haven't been paying attention. Chelsea's horrible, so I haven't been paying attention this year.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was gonna talk about that because we did have a question. Someone's asking about Arsenal, but before I answer that question, you as a Chelsea fan, well, I say that Trevor, they got a good result midweek. I think they knocked Aston Villa out of whichever cup they happened to play. I wasn't paying attention.
Fuck them.
Before that, they lost. Did they lose at home to Wolves 4-2 or something? And the Wolves fans were singing "You're fucking shit," and then the Chelsea fans started singing "We're fucking shit," which is a brilliant piece of like English football crowd culture.
Yeah,
that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying attention this season because it's like I mean, I am a Chelsea fan, but like I'm kind of a fake Chelsea fan. I pay more attention when they're winning because it's like, I have 2 hockey teams. I have a baseball team. They kind of get my majority of my sports fan attention. And obviously for an American, the games are on at weird times anyway. So it's like, it's easy to not pay attention when the team sucks, Like it's really...
There's a lot of funny stuff going on at Chelsea at the moment. We've got like players' wives doing cryptic tweets about the situation. We got players... Mykhailo Mudryk was arguing with someone on Twitter, I think, and saying, "Oh, you're no good at football. I'll pay you £10,000. Come and meet me on the streets, and I'll give you a lesson in football." Just like absolutely going off the deep end, and all these guys complaining that they were kind of lured into false pretenses, signing these massive long-term contracts, and they're like, "Oh, wait, this team's shit. What am I doing here?"
Yeah. I mean, look, it's the bill coming due, right? They never should have been as good as they were for as long as they were, so... I got to see them win the Champions League a couple times. I can't complain. They want to be shit now. You can have fun. There's always been my sports fan thing in general, by the way. It's like, because the Kings, the LA Kings in hockey, won 2 Stanley Cups. They won a cup in 2012, and they won a cup in 2014. And my whole thing is like, you need to have like a 10-year moratorium minimum after you win a championship like that before you can really start bitching. Because so many sports fans get nothing for their entire life. And it's like if you see your team win a championship, you are not allowed to complain about that team for like a minimum of 10 years. This year, after this season, I can start complaining about the Kings again. The Rangers, my other hockey team, they haven't won a cup since 94. They complaining I can complain as much as I want about them. But the Kings, you cannot complain about them, until 10 seasons have passed, because it's like there's the Toronto Maple Leafs, as Damon well knows. It's like they haven't won a cup since 1967. So those poor fans have seen nothing. They haven't even made it to a cup final since 67. That's the part that I think really gets me. So it's like, I don't know. So like you can't, once you see your team win a championship, you have to think of all the poor fucks out there who've seen nothing their entire lives and be like, you can't complain about your team for a long time, for quite a while. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel churlish sometimes complaining as an Arsenal fan. Like, we've not won the Premier League since 2004. And I feel like, okay, so that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Probably due one now. Give us another one. I won't complain for another 20 years. If we win a European Cup, a Champions League, then I'll shut up forever. I will die a happy man if we do that. But I mean, who knows? So we had a Shingo reply guy tweeting saying, "Is Arsenal going all the way?" Because we got really good result, beat Liverpool at the weekend. And no, I mean, of course we're not going to away because Man City are going to do what they always do, which is just like rattle off 15 straight wins and steamroller everyone. And probably not even going to be close. So no, I'm under no pretenses about us winning anything. But you have to enjoy these moments when they come along.
Yeah. No, you definitely can complain. 2004 is long enough. I mean, that's 20 years. At that point, you're
and that was the year we won the league unbeaten, and no other team has done that in the Premier League. So there was like, how old would I have been then? So 2004 would have been like, I don't know, that's 16 years old. I was thinking, yeah, this is great. I could get used to this.
Oh, you're that. You're like 2 years younger than me. I thought you were more younger than me than that for some reason.
I'm 87.
Oh, you were born in 87.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I was 86. So yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought you were joking that you're 87. So I'm sorry, but no. But yeah, I was born in 86. So yeah, for some reason I thought you were like 5 years younger than me or something. I don't know why. But
my boyish. So it's been a crazy few weeks, not just as a New Japan fan, but just wrestling in general. There's crazy shit happening all the time. How are you
about New Japan? I'm
New Japan.
I would say cautiously positive. I don't know. It's like, on one hand, it feels like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop because we know this company has no money, and we know this company can't spend money compared to these other American companies. So you're always kind of worried that they're going to lose people, or lose more people, I should say. But like, as far as the actual shows go, all these Corkins have been pretty great, I think. So and I'm pretty excited for, not the entire card in Osaka, but at least a few matches in Osaka. And, both the Sapporo shows look interesting. And after that, we hit the, one of my favorite times of the year where you get the anniversary show and the New Japan Cup and Sakura Genesis. So I don't know. I'm feeling good. It's not like I'm not like jumping for joy. And plus also the Chicago show, which I'm going to. So that's also cool too. That's, that'll be a fun little stretch there. But yeah, it's not like I'm jumping for joy about New Japan's current state because, until they have like money again, I don't know how anyone can feel like super optimistic. But I'm putting some of the negativity behind me and trying to just enjoy what they're giving me for now. But it does feel very precarious still, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on something which I think is worth unpicking about the sort of Bushiroad situation. And our number one fan, Antonio, says, I don't know if you guys are seeing the question, but thoughts on the whole Rossi Ogawa stardom debacle. And no, you guys sort of answered my question with the whole mobile game stuff, but given what's happened, and this, sorry for asking this again, but has Bushiroad time in wrestling as whole run its course? Now, I think Antonio is sort of quickly approaching the kind of broken clock being right twice a day kind of scenario here, where I think he's got a point. And I said so last week, and knowing what we've been told about Bushiroad having no money and all the money that has gone down the shitter with them for the mobile games market and this gacha game that they announced. And in the same tweet that they announced it, they said the servers for it are going to be pulled like 2 months later, which was just absolutely ridiculous thing to happen and very worrying for that part of the portfolio anyway. And we're told that it's all that stuff, the mobile game stuff, is separate, from budgeting aspects to what New Japan is. But this Stardom situation does warrant discussion, I think, because we know that Bushiroad and Kidani like to stick their oar in when it comes to booking. It's happened with Stardom. It's pissed off Rossi so much that he's leaving and obviously going to start up his own company, and they've been doing it in New Japan as well. And we know there's tension between Kidani and New Japan, Kidani Gedo, and quite a few instances where they've given directives to New Japan bookers to follow, like the TV title, for example. We led to believe that was a Kidani thing. So what are your thoughts on this Stardom situation, and how do you think it
I don't know.
New Japan,
I mean, it's interesting. It definitely seems like there's a lot of parallels there. Well, you might just put this on the Discord, but okay. I mean, I guess this is mostly public information, so it's fine to say it. It's like, if it's one thing for Bushiroad to have a lot of money and be getting involved in your booking decisions, but it's another thing to be told, we have no money for you at all, and we're going to tell you what to do with your booking. That kind of fucking sucks, right? Even more. So it's just kind of like a double whammy there, where it's like they're telling you we're really broke and we can't help you money wise, but here's what you should fucking do with the world title. It's just, if I was Gato and now I guess Rossi too, and that's what they were telling me, I would be like, well, fuck you then. Like you can't even like if you're not at least gonna pay us, if you're not at least gonna have some the coffers full here to give us the full corporate backing that we're expecting, then I don't want to listen to you tell me about you know who to put the red belt on and who to put the white belt on or whatever. Like I don't want to I don't want to listen to that then. Which is if they still had the money going, maybe Rossi sits there and puts up with it a little bit more.
And do you think this has any sort of direct impact on New Japan in terms of the involvement with Stardom? Or, I mean, it was so superficial to start with. Like, we only get to see these Stardom showcase matches like 3 or 4 times a year, so it doesn't feel like there's going to be that much of an impact in terms of
Yeah, I
actually
don't. I
using
mean,
these
maybe we'll
wrestlers
see them
on
a
New
little
Japan
more.
shows.
That it felt like it did feel like the timing was interesting. On Rossi's going down at the same time they announced. Oh, by the way, we're going to have a IWGP Women's Title match in Sapporo. So maybe they really want that synergy right now, especially with Stardom potentially about to enter really rocky waters with Rossi starting his own promotion and potentially taking a bunch of the talent. So I could see them wanting to use New Japan to maybe help Stardom or help prop it up. So maybe we see it a little bit more, but I'm sure they're also going to get a ton of pushback on the New Japan side. They really want to they tell them to start putting on every show. I'm sure they're going to get a ton of pushback to that because, we're pretty sure they've been pushing back on it all this time. And a lot of them don't really want to do it at all in the locker room. So, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we'll see it a little bit more, at least in the short term, but I wouldn't expect to see a ton more of it. I guess that'd be my best guess anyway.
Okay, well, let's get into the pair of Korakuen Hall shows that took place earlier this week. One of them, the Sunday one in particular, I thought was really fantastic. So this was a Road to the New Beginning. A lot of fun stuff on the undercard, but nothing that I feel really warrants in-depth discussion. I think a lot of these exhibits we cover when we do the Osaka show. So I am just going to skip straight ahead to the United Empire versus Bullet Club single series, which I think has been...
Oh, well, maybe one... Well, the only thing we should maybe note on the undercard to me that was notable was Yuya tapping out Tsuji, because that plays into the so he beat it, because that was shocking to me. That match only went 7-16, and he beat him with the cross arm breaker, which I did not see that coming at all. And if they're going to bring that back as like an instant submission, which is a historical move that used to end a lot of New Japan matches, and they kind of got away from it, in this last like post 2012 era. I don't dislike that idea at all because, that move should tap somebody out right away. But I just wanted to note that because I thought that was such an interesting finish.
Yeah, we don't seem to get too many submission finishes these days. I've not run the data. I'm not Craig from PW Musings, but I think it's really interesting the way that they've used this tour to kind of set out their stall for these future generational feuds. Like Shota against Ren, they've been set up as a generational rival so far, and now obviously Tsuji and Yuya. And I do like the way that they are putting in these finishes, like the armlock crosshold submission. And I can't remember off the top of my head how did the Faction Warfare match finish. But anyway, my point being that they're having all these finishes to kind of layer in for future times that these guys wrestle each other, those little near falls where you're like, he tapped him out at that Row 2 show, so maybe he's going to tap him out here to add a little bit of extra spice and drama to it.
Yeah, the Faction Warfare match just ended with the Gene Blast, but
that's right, yes, the spear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the Wrestle Kingdom match had a different finish. That was I'm gonna look it up actually because that's going to annoy me otherwise. But that was a Yuya win, wasn't it, at Wrestle Kingdom?
Yes. Yeah, Yuya won that with I don't remember what the fuck he won it with. I was there at ringside. I should know this, but I don't.
It was the deadbolt suplex.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. And then I seem to recall on one of the Road to Tokyo Dome shows, did he pick up both wins? It was a rolling cradle, wasn't it, on the one December 22nd? Yes, it was. It was a rolling cradle. So yeah, it's nice that they're sort of adding a few different finishing moves to his arsenal. I like that. I like there to be a bit of variety there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. The one thing I don't like, by the way, is the website, because I went to look for the results of that gauntlet match. They don't list the individual parts of that gauntlet, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it just tells you what happened with the
Yeah.
final pairing. But we'll get on to that. The first match I wanted to talk about in depth was the fifth match, which was Great O'Khan defeating Alex Coughlin 12 minutes, 5 seconds with the jackknife hold. So it was supposed to be Jeff Cobb, but he got injured and they did a big angle with that, with Bullet Club beating him down. And Great O'Khan was the late replacement. And I really like this. I've been a bit cold on Great O'Khan for the most part last year. I felt he kind of sleptwalked through the G1. The Mox match was incredible. I love that. But he just, I don't know, I just kind of get the vibe from O'Khan that he's phoning it in sometimes. But it was not the case here. I thought he was really entertaining here. I really liked the grappling. And for his part, I thought Coughlin did all right. I mean, he didn't particularly impress me during the G1, and I still think he's more effective as a tag wrestler. Like, the power spots are impressive, but his presentation is good. I like his promos, but everything kind of between that, he still needs to work on. And, you know, relative terms, he's still a bit of a rookie compared to a lot of these other guys. So he's still got growing to do. But I thought this was a very entertaining match in spite of that.
Yeah. So I disagree a little bit, where I actually thought Coughlin looked pretty damn good here, especially because I agree with you that his G1 was really disappointing. I thought he, like, you know, especially compared to the G1 that his partner Gabe Kidd had, where I thought Gabe just looked miles ahead of him as a singles wrestler in the G1. Here, you know, Gabe still probably is miles ahead of him because of the match he had that we're about to talk about. But I did think Coughlin looked better to me in ring here at O'Khan than he looked for most of the G1. Like, I thought his matches in the G1 were a little boring, and here I would not describe this match as boring at all. I thought he held up his end of the bargain pretty well. So I went like 3 3/4 on it, so I thought it was really good.
If you were doing like a 20-man cut for the G1 this year, are both these guys making your 20?
I think they have
to.
For
me, yeah.
I think Coughlin, I think they do. I mean, I'd have to really look at it and see who I have to take out to get the 20, but I don't know. I think they have to because they're both going to be part of your future, and they both feel like they have more to give. So I really would want them both in it.
Yeah, and I'm kind of more optimistic about O'Khan now. Obviously, he's got KOPW, which, you know, it's not a hugely prestigious title, but it's something. And I think whatever happens at the end of this United Empire Bullet Club thing, I feel O'Khan should benefit from that. I think maybe a fresh coat of paint, new direction would be good for him, because he's been also making a lot of cryptic comments about, you know, he doesn't want to get involved in it and he's just, you know, out for himself at the end of the day, which is quite intriguing, because that seems to be a bit of a change in direction for what O'Khan has typically said with regards to United Empire. So I think that's one to keep an eye on going forward.
Yeah.
Because he is not involved in the cage match in Osaka. I mean, I'm not going to jump ahead to the preview now, but he's a bit of a dark horse when it comes to this feud and the faction in general.
Yeah, it was fun watching him mix it up with Coughlin here after he was just completely absent from the feud until now, because he was, like you said, he was busy with the KOPW stuff. So I thought it was cool just like to have him get involved. And, you know, not that I don't dislike Jeff Cobb or anything, but it kind of feels like we've seen everything out of Jeff Cobb. Like when his name showed up as a rumored guy to leave, you know, he did not exactly hit me hard there, because it's like, you know, I like Jeff Cobb. I don't want it to come up like I don't like Jeff Cobb. I think he's a very good wrestler, and I've seen him have some very good matches, but he does kind of feel like he's already hit his peak in New Japan, whereas obviously O'Khan, you know, watching O'Khan mix it up with another guy who, you know, hasn't really come close to his peak yet, was to me a lot more satisfying than the original Cobb versus Coughlin. I'm sure would have been fine, but this had that feeling of like two young guys, two hungry guys who really haven't come close to their peak, who are like getting in there and like showing what they can do. And I always love that kind of match. So very different vibe than Coughlin would have been.
Yeah, and keeping with that aura of the young hungry guys going at it. The sixth match, Henare and Gabe could go to a 20-minute, 27-second knockout draw. I needed this match, and I think a lot of the fans have needed this match. Like this breathed new life into my love of New Japan, and I think for both these guys as well, because they're both a bit mental, aren't they? In a good way. And it's all well and good turning up for, you know, like a Wrestle Kingdom or, you know, a huge show and a huge spot, and showing out like this. But to do it, to just beat the crap out of each other and nearly kill each other on a Road 2 show at Korakuen Hall, just because they felt like it, just because they could, just because it meant something to them. I'm sure a lot of it is about the contract situation and they wanted to prove their value to the company. That just seeing these two young, hungry, angry guys just beating the snot out of each other, very, very deliberately, I thought, on that line mark and just collapsing at the end of it, it really hit me on an emotional level. And for me, it's my match of the year so far. And not necessarily from a technical standpoint, and I'm sure there'll be matches with, more moves and stuff when it comes to the end of the year. But for me, when I come to do my top 3 or top 10 or whatever, I always remember the matches that made me feel something. And this was a match that made me feel something and made me feel like I really don't think New Japan can afford to let these guys slip through their fingers. And, from the whispers I've heard that they will be sticking around, but if they continue to lowball these guys specifically and young talent in general, then I do worry. And I think this was kind of like a mission statement for both of them. Like, look, this is how much we care about New Japan. This is a Road 2 show and we're killing each other because this is how much we love the company. Show us some love. Give us some flowers. Show us what we're worth. So an incredible match. Absolutely love this one.
Well, you can tell with both guys that they really do. They're both the kind of guy that do not want to leave. It's like they might leave because, they just might, at the end of the day, need the money. Or not even need the money, but just like, they get offered so much more money they have to go. But like, you can tell in a perfect world they want to be there. I mean, Gabe can, I think, went on some podcast and flat out said it and said, my contract negotiations between me and New Japan, they just got to pay me, but I want to stay. Like, I'm paraphrasing there, but that's basically what he said, I think. And Hanare, you can tell, I mean, he's another dojo guy and he fucking hates America, which apparently that's a shoot. So like, he's not exactly in a rush to go to AEW. I mean, we need to stock up New Japan with America haters. That's what we need. We need people who absolutely hate America's guts. But yeah, so he obviously doesn't want to leave either. But it's like, they go out there. I'm sure the fact that Korakuen Hall was like packed to the rafters helped. Because like this was like a completely sold out show, like the 1450 or whatever they drew. Actually, the exact numbers at the top of the fucking screen, I can just tell. 1433. And, it was a sold-out Korakuen. And when you're in a sold-out Korakuen Hall, because I've been in a sold-out Korakuen Hall, it's just a different vibe. I mean, that feels like, when you can't see any of those empty orange seats and you just see that, it feels like you're in a bigger building, if anything. Like, and that crowd makes so much noise that you can, like, almost trick yourself and that you're not working just in front of 1,400 people. And it feels extra special. And I'm sure that helped them, get over the line and have this amazing match they had. The Korakuen the next night was not a sold-out show, which I think probably hurt the stuff on that show, especially probably the Gauntlet. That show did 1,015. But yeah, this show being sold out, I think really probably helped them a little bit too. Maybe a little extra motivation. But yeah, amazing match. I went 4.5 stars on it. I thought this, they beat the living piss out of each other. The whole thing with Gabe Kidd, I've seen people say they find his persona annoying. I get it to a degree, and I'm not trying. I know when people hate when you do the argument that like he's a heel, he's supposed to be annoying, but like he is supposed to be a heel. You're not supposed to like him, and you're supposed to want to see him get his ass kicked. And so if you don't
he backs it up, doesn't he? He's out there saying, "I'm a madman," and then he shows it with his behaviour. It's not like he's just talk. He's backing it up in the ring.
Well, that too. And it's like, but if you find him obnoxious, yes, he's supposed to be obnoxious. That's his character. That's what he's going for. I get it if you just really. I honestly cannot get in the mind of the people who find him so obnoxious they don't want to watch him at all, because I'm like, he is just so good that even if you find his persona that off-putting, and again, I don't. I find his persona very amusing, if anything. I've always been very entertained by him since he came back. But like, if you really find his persona that off-putting, he backs up in the ring. He has awesome matches, and he stands there and gets his ass kicked. So if you really want to watch, if you really don't like this guy or whatever, you get to see him get hit in the face a lot. So like, what's the problem here? I don't know. And I saw some people saying it was There was a mid-match Roman Reigns style promo. I'm like, give me a fucking break with that. He said like one line about fuck Antonio Inoki, which was great, and that was it. Like it's not that's not a mid-match promo. Like, you guys need to watch your Roman Reigns matches again if you think that's a Roman Reigns mid-match promo. It's like, please. But anyway, I'm just like dealing with the few criticisms I've seen of that match online. That one I was like, what the fuck? But
yeah, I like the little touches as well. Like, usually we see Gabe Kidd jumping his opponents before the bell. Didn't do it this time. He came out first and he stood in the corner and he waited for Henare, and then they just went at it from the bell. So yeah, there was just something special about this match. Like, you could tell beforehand they'd had a conversation that they were just like, right, all bets are off. Let's just beat the shit out of each other. And the match ruled as a result. And I also like the fact that they didn't appear the following day to sell those injuries. I'm sure a lot of them were legit. I mean, I've seen, social media posts and photos of their blistered and chopped skin, which it leads us to an interesting question here, actually. So this is... hold on a second. So Daryl says, have the strong style chop forearm kick become too much of a trope? I love the match, but I have seen it used in situations where I've been indifferent. So he gives a quote here. There's a tweet from Bret Hart. He's obviously not talking about this match directly, but you've seen this Bret Hart quote where he says, anytime anyone does anything to you that hurts for real, chopping, putting blisters on your chest when you go to your room or bed, anytime anyone does things to you for real, they're in the wrong business. They're doing it wrong.
Well, okay. First of all, you have to take everything Bret Hart says. I made this joke on Twitter. He could go down to South America and do a 15-year study on the effects of climate change on like South American fucking flora and the environment, and the final report would be nothing but a big shot at Ric Flair and Bill Goldberg. Like, that's what this man lives to do. Because like that, the chop shit is just because he hates Ric Flair. He's always hated Ric Flair. He always will hate Ric Flair. It's not a shot. That's really all it is. And then at the end, he actually includes a shot at Bill Goldberg by name. So, like, at the end of that thing where he's like, oh, that's Bill Goldberg wrestling. So, I don't know. Like, I don't really take Bret seriously. He was a great wrestler in his day. But his style of, like, the very safe American style, it's never been my favorite thing, obviously. And I think there has to be, look, pro wrestling is not the only thing where people consensually, do harm, right? I mean, it's like there are plenty of sports and activities where people know they're going to get hurt going in and do get hurt. I mean, even if you watch real sports, they get fucking hurt all the goddamn time. I watch hockey again. I mentioned that before. These guys obviously know when they run into each other and knock each other into the boards, it's going to fucking hurt. And when you land on, like, I just saw a guy like land on his leg and like basically twist it in half when he was like falling to the ice and just have to be stretchered out. I mean, there's like, all these sports are dangerous. Just because wrestling is like predetermined does not mean there should be no harm involved at all or no risk of harm. And there should be a space for people who want to go out there and beat the piss out of each other to do that if they want to do that. I mean, that should be part of wrestling. So, it's not, if Bret Hart, if you don't want to do that, there should be part of wrestling for you too. I mean, if you want to be, even in New Japan, if you want to be Zack Sabre Jr. and do masterful technical wrestling instead of constantly getting the shit beaten out of you and beating the shit out of other people, there should be space for you to do that too. But if you want to be Henare and Gabe Kidd and go out there and beat the piss out of each other, I don't see why that shouldn't be part of pro wrestling. So that's my take on it, at least.
Yeah, and Daryl's follow-up question was, is this something that should be reserved for special circumstances? And I don't think so. I like the fact that that again, they did it at a Row 2 show where there was absolutely no reason to do that.
Well, okay.
No one was necessarily expecting
Well, I'll counter this a little bit. This is a special circumstance to them. How often do Henare and Gabe Kidd get a marquee singles match on a show? Not very often.
True.
So these are two guys who weren't on Wrestle Kingdom. So if you're telling them to save a Wrestle Kingdom, they literally can't fucking save a Wrestle Kingdom. This is how they get over to the point where they get Wrestle Kingdom matches, and then they can save a Wrestle Kingdom if they want to. But you're basically telling them, well, you can only do headlocks because you're on Cork, and it's like, that's not going to work. They have to have the space and the time to make a name for themselves, and, if they want to make the name for themselves by beating the shit out of each other, that's their business.
William says, after Henare and Gabe's performance, do you think it's time Gedo pulls the trigger on them and strap them up with gold. Yes, they should, but I don't think they will. I think we're kind of in this era now where a lot of these guys are accepting new contract offers or half-year contract offers or temporary contract offers with the low ball salary, with the agreement that they're going to get a push. So they're going into the office being like, okay, fine, I'll accept this crap salary, but you got to give me a run with this belt or whatever. You got to give me a push. So I kind of feel like that they may have sort of backed themselves up with guys that they promised to give pushes to. So I'm not going to be holding my breath necessarily for Gabe and or Henare to get a big push immediately. I do think if they stick around, it will come. And I really think this was a great match in like I said, like setting the table for those long-term generational feuds. Because now, every time these guys are opposite the ring from each other, whether it's a tag match or, if it's in a tournament, if they're in the same G1 block, then that's one everyone's going to be circling and be like, holy shit, we remember what happened last time. There's going to be fireworks here.
Yeah. I mean, it's how you get over. It's like, they're just how they're going to get over. I mean, that's all there is to it. So, I don't know. I just think it's one of these things where people have, like, outsmarted themselves a little bit, where they're just like, oh, you shouldn't beat each other up in pro wrestling. It's like, it's pro wrestling. Fucking falling on the mat hurts. You don't think taking a bump hurts? Because it's funny because people will tell you, like, have you ever taken a bump? I actually have taken a bump. It fucking hurts. So, don't tell me like it doesn't. Don't tell me it doesn't fucking hurt. Like, yeah, I'm sure what they did hurts more, but it all fucking hurts. So don't you don't have to tell them, wag your finger at them for, beating the shit out of each other. I mean, getting dropped on your head repeatedly hurts too.
Let's move on then to the seventh match, which was David Finlay defeating Callum Newman in 10 minutes, 27 seconds with Overkill. Really enjoyable match.
Yeah.
And I think an extended squash, but this is the kind of thing you want to see in a squash match where like Finlay basically just absolutely destroyed Callum Newman and used that to send a message to the absent Will Ospreay, saying like, look what I'm doing to your boy. So this is the kind of David Finlay that we want to see. And he kind of lost his way a bit in the middle to latter half of 2023, but I'm back on board now with Finlay. I think he's been really good so far this year, and I think he's looking and carrying himself like a leader. And I know sort of casual fans are probably not going to get behind him. I think that ship has already sailed. But I mean, for my personal enjoyment, I think he's doing a good job here.
Yeah, that was my hot take in the preview that went up on Voice of Wrestling, the New Beginning of Osaka preview. Like, I did a whole paragraph on how I think people really should give Finlay another chance because, I think he's been pretty phenomenal ever since he did the angle at the end of Power Struggle where he destroyed both belts with the giant hammer, which was funny. But like all his promos leading up to Wrestle Kingdom, I thought were really good. And then in the Wrestle Kingdom match, I thought he was excellent. Like, I thought he did a great job keeping up with Ospreay and Jon Moxley in that match, which I think not nearly enough people gave him enough credit for in a match that I think was very critically acclaimed in general, and just a lot better than I was expecting out of a stupid three-way match. So he should get his flowers for that. And then I think he's really come into his own in the last month during this feud, this unit versus unit feud, as like a great heel and a great, like, complete scumbag leader of Bullet Club War Dogs. Because obviously, like, what was the big criticism of Finlay when he first turned, right? It was that he was Jay White Jr. Like, that was what people looked at him and said, this is like discount Jay White. It's going to be tough for him to beat those charges because of people's first impression and then just being, he's a guy that came up at the same time as Jay White. They're both white. They're both these, like, kind of white guys with, like, sort of similar builds and, like, similar height. So I get it. White obviously is in better shape too, which I'm sure doesn't help. Although Finlay's, actually got him quite good shape, I think, compared to what he looked like a few months ago. But so, I get the why people had that impression, and the look they gave him even, was kind of similar. But where Finlay,
it's good that he stopped dyeing his eyebrows and dyeing his beard. Like, he's gone back to his natural color, and he's like he doesn't seem to be trying too hard anymore. He's not a try hard.
Exactly.
He seems to be like a more natural fit.
And what I was going to say is Finlay, I think, has done a really good job cultivating this persona. So Jay White's persona was like mustache twirling villain, right? His persona was so over the top. He was like practically cackling evilly, like that kind of villain. And he always looked like he was also a little bit insecure. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, like, I think that was part of his character, was like he was supposed to be like this insecure guy who, made it to the top of Bullet Club and, is very much like, I'm, cackling evilly, but like kind of on the inside, like kind of, not sure of myself.
Yeah, he was a bit of a coward. When
Yeah,
things got tough, he'd roll out of the ring
exactly.
and hide.
So that's his persona. And Finley, I think, has gone in a different direction with it. He's not a coward at all. First of all, he almost never runs away from these fights or anything. He obviously has his backup and stuff, and he has the numbers advantage. But he's like ruthlessly smart. Instead of like cackling, he just kind of like smirks at you, and he like just is more content to stand back and watch things play out the way he wants them to play out. And it's much more calm and like cool and collected, like a much more level-headed type of heel. And I think he's done a good job, establishing that character. The way they did this angle with, first of all, Will Ospreay, not saying about as a person, but his character. Ospreay telling David Finlay, you could pick the stipulations for the big blow-off match for your 200 units. That's going to be a hard one to beat for dumb babyface of the year in 2024. It's like, why did you do that exactly? That didn't really make any sense. But then I love that David Finlay, first of all, I love that he revealed this as a drip. Like, drip, drip, drip. First he reveals the cage match right away. Then he reveals it's going to be War Game style, which we didn't know until this past weekend, I don't think. And then he's like, well, since this is my favorite touch. I love this. Instead of being like, well, it's War Game style, let's flip a coin. He's like, it's War Game style. Will Ospreay said I could pick the stipulations, so I picked that we had the man advantage. That's brilliant. I mean, that makes him look like a brilliant heel. He's just such a like ruthlessly smart heel. It's just like he said I could pick. I picked that we have the advantage. That's great. And it's a great touch for his character. Again, it makes Ospreay look like an idiot, but Ospreay's leaving anyway, so who gives a shit? But like, it's just so I just love that persona of Finlay as like this very ruthlessly smart leader of Bullet Club. The whole thing where he's like, I'm going to get ahead of Bullet Club before Bullet Club, dumps me. It's a good concept in general, since obviously the leaders always end up getting dumped. But and I'm intrigued to see where it all goes. And I think he's just done a really good job growing into that persona. And people are not going to give him a second chance probably, but these people watch New Japan twice a year. Who gives a shit? It's always what I say. Yeah. Who gives a shit what the fuck they think anyway? But I think most of the New Japan fans who actually watch every show would probably be willing to admit that he looks better in this role.
Yeah, and the stuff that him and the War Dogs have done to Callum Newman, to Francesco Acquera, is way more vicious than anything that Jay White's Bullet Club ever did to anyone else. So
yeah, they hung.
I love it. Like the systematic violence that they've inflicted on these various members of United Empire, I've found really, really compelling. The Mish says thoughts on David Finlay sounded like Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm not hearing that personally. I'm not something that I've noticed so far, but I'll be listening out for it next time. But how are you feeling about Callum Newman? Because I think he's got all the tools. Everything I'm hearing about him is good, and if he is in it for the long term, the only thing that's going to hold him back is his tiny, perfectly spherical head. But aside from that, I think he's got all the tools to be a success. And if he does follow the Ospreay route, then could be a pretty high ceiling for Callum.
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, the only thing that gives me pause is, like you guys have talked about before, does a guy like this get to last for even 8 years like Ospreay does this time? I kind of doubt it. So I'm trying not to get too attached, because it's like, he could be gone in a year or two for all I know. But if he does stay longer, then I think, like you said, he has a high ceiling, and he already looks pretty good, especially for his experience level. So.
All right, so the main event of this show was the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match, where the War Dogs, Drilla Maloney, Clark Connors, won back their titles with their custom lovely white belts from Francesco Acquera and TJP. So it was 80 minutes, 33 seconds after Clark pinned Francesco Acquera following the full clip. And this was a lot better than the Wrestle Kingdom match. I don't think it was as good as the matches that they had last year. But I'm glad that this wasn't a match that was sort of gobbled up by the Aswang stuff, which I don't know. I've got no time for that personally. Like I don't mind people sort of being a bit dark and brooding, but when it's actually like verging on the supernatural, then it loses me. So I'm glad they kind of stayed away from it here. And the heart and soul of this match, and I would say probably the feud between these two factions in general, was Francesco Acquera, and the psychological damage that's been inflicted upon him, like him sort of visibly recoiling at seeing a fork. And then, the following day when they had that 1 minute disqualification match, them hanging him from the ring, like the way he has been systematically targeted as like the weak link in this group and like the youngest, the most vulnerable member of the team, and that they've just gone after this guy. And he was the focus on this match, I thought was just really, really interesting. So, I don't think it's a match that's going to be on any of my match of the year shortlist, but in terms of sort of continuing to tell that story and set the table for Osaka, I thought it was really great drama.
Yeah, the interesting thing, right, is that when you look at the Fantastica Mania cards, he's teamed up with all the heels from CMLL next week. I think people might be reading too much into that because we've seen in past years where, like, people reading too much into that and assuming he's turning heel in the cage. Because when you look at, like, the way the Fantastica Mania tour usually goes, they have a lot of Huntai baby faces on the tour, so you will see guys who are on these neutral units that maybe even lean face, the rest of the year, teaming up with the CMLL heels just because they need to balance the scales. So it doesn't necessarily mean Akira's turning, I think, in the cage, but it is interesting the way they, told this story. I think could easily lead to a turn. It'd be interesting to see where he goes if he turns, because it kind of seems like it would be a little weird for him to join the War Dogs if they just tried to hang him here. But yeah, I don't know. It's all very interesting. We'll see what happens, I guess. But as far as the tag title match itself, I liked it. I thought 3.5 level, definitely better than the Aswang match in the Tokyo Dome. I don't mind the Aswang thing to the point where if TJP is just going to spit mist now and have red eyes all the time, that's fine with me. I don't really mind that. It's more like, pulling out that mask all the time.
Leave the mask at home.
Yeah, leave the mask at home. These gimmicks where they can't really sell do not make for good wrestling matches. So hopefully we don't see a lot of the Aswang going forward. But if he just wants to have red eyeballs now and spit mist randomly, that's fine. I don't really mind. I mean, Bushi spits mist, you don't have to be I don't think Bushi's supposed to be a zombie or anything, so.
Yeah, I think this was the right amount of Aswang in this match.
Yeah.
And also another little interesting wrinkle for this was Driller Maloney saying that he's ripped his bicep off the bone, which sounds really nasty, but he seems to still be able to go. So I'll file that one away. But Will Pro Wrestling says, do you think with Driller and Clark now the tag champions that they re-signed new contracts to say? Yes, they did. Wait, if that's good policy, but I think that's a pretty safe bet that they've extended with the company, and I think the right move to put the titles back on them and basically just make Bullet Club look as strong as possible headed into this match in Osaka.
Indeed.
All right, so that is it for the first day of Korakuen. The second night, again, I'm happy to just skip forward to the main event, except one thing I would circle here is Great Khan, his backstage comment where he said, and I quote, "Empire is in trouble. Great Khan won't be the one restoring order. Great Khan is fighting for his own pride and desires." So again, we'll file that one away.
Can I mention? Let me mention a couple things from the undercard real quick. First of all, I am so tired of watching Chase and Kenta use those fucking tag title belts. It feels like, I know it's only been a month. It feels like it's been a year. It's like they are like the most boring heel team I think in a long, long time, where these tag title belts were on teams that were interesting pretty much all year last year. And now it feels like we're going backwards, back to a completely boring act as who cares? Okay, you have the rest of Bullet Club, the War Dogs, who are doing this incredibly vicious gimmick where they're beating the fucking shit out of everybody that they're coming in contact with. They hang a man on the same show. They hung poor Francisco Kira on the same show. You have House of Torture, who technically in Bullet Club, they do the weapon stick better than anybody can do it. Whether you like that stick or not, they do it well. They had that covered in New Japan. I don't want to watch Chase Owens lightly tap people in the head, in the fucking forehead with tag title belts in the same company. That just looks like nothing compared to what the other people in Bullet Club are doing. And when you add that to the fact that they're in this weird Bullet Club vortex of like the only unaffiliated Bullet Club people left that aren't in a subunit is just so strange. Like, what are these guys? They're just like random heels who are, I guess, cool with the War Dogs and team with them sometimes, but they're not War Dogs themselves. And they're Taiji Shimori. I remember after Kanemaru like joined House of Torture, Taiji Shimori like confusingly, he's like looks confused backstage. He's like, "Am I in the same unit as Kanemaru now?" Like, he didn't know. He's like, "Is this the same unit? Are we both in Bullet Club?" He had no fucking idea. He was trying to figure this out. And technically the answer is yes, but they never interact or anything, which actually could be like that could be interesting. Like Ishimori and Kanemaru, with all their history that goes all the way back to Noah, having to team up together or whatever, that would be interesting. Instead, they never interact. The rest of Bullet Club never interacts with House of Torture. They barely interact with they do interact with the War Dogs, but it's never explained what makes them non-War Dogs. I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking here. I hate it. I think the Chase and Kenta team is boring as hell, and they got to like just do something with these guys. Like, either just put them in the War Dogs or like turn them face, or just this lightly tapping people with tag title belts is just not interesting at all. So they feel
like a real throwback. Like they've been left behind.
Yeah,
They've lost in the shuffle with it. All the other factions are sort of doing new and interesting stuff and kind of driving it forward. Where again, this is what I was saying earlier. I feel this is guys who's agreed to sign new deals and managed to politic a sweet tag title push in the bargain. So. We'll get onto the Osaka preview, but it's been a hard skip for me. I'm
you didn't even watch it?
I will force myself to watch it when it comes to the Osaka show, like the actual title matches. But the undercard tag matches, they are background double speed. I've used the term viewing in inverted commas there.
Yeah, but, I watched it. I watched every second at regular speed, and I did not enjoy any of it. So I just wanted to rant about that because it's just like. Kenta needed a belt shot to beat Jado. Like, that was the finish. Like, Chase lightly tapped fucking Jado on the forehead with his tag title belt, and then Kenta jackknife held him and didn't even really have his shoulder down. Looked like shit. Like, this is pathetic. It was
absolutely pathetic.
It was really bad. I mean, like, look, I try to take. It just feels like New Japan should take a little more pride in its fucking matches than Chase Owens with the fucking light tap belt shot and the horrible jackknife hold. Just give me a break with this shit.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm totally with you on that.
There was one other thing on the undercard too, which I just thought was interesting. Was Zack tapping out Togi Makabe? It was like, how often? Like, when's the last time Togi Makabe tapped to anybody?
Yeah, I'm looking at. So this was Yano, Makabe, Ishii, and Tanahashi. So, I mean, I suppose in kayfabe, Makabe would be the lowest.
I think it's group, it might be Yano. I don't know, because Yano's been doing a lot of jobs lately too, when he never used to do any. But yeah, Yano and Makabe, for the longest time, even after they were pushed, they still very rarely took falls. And now Yano takes falls all the time. Makabe, I feel like, takes more falls now than he used to, but I can't remember the last time I saw him tap out. Like, that was interesting. Maybe Chris Sampson's listening and he can tell us, but I would love to know when the last time Makabe tapped out was, because when I was watching the show, that really stood out to me. I was like, wow, Togi Makabe tapped out. I guess they're really pushing the Zack technical master thing because he has the big match with Danielson that we're going to get to, but I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to Zack, but I think, the more bodies he can rack up in the build up to this match, the better, really. So, definitely something worth pointing out. The main event was the Faction Warfare Gauntlet, where it went on a very long time. The website's not going to tell us what exactly went down.
It was like 49 minutes, I think, total.
Yeah, so we finished up with Yuya against Yota Tsuji. That went 19 minutes, 12 seconds. And Tsuji, was this the first time since Yuya's return that he managed to pin Yuya? It feels like his first win over him for a while, but
yeah, because they went to they did the draw in the G1, right? Oh no, wait, Yuya wasn't there yet. No. Yuya wasn't in the G1. So I think I can recreate this by memory. Let's say it started with Naito and Sonata. They went to the 10-minute draw. Then the next guys out were Taka, Was Taka second? Actually, maybe he wasn't. The next guy out for LIJ was definitely Shingo. Who was the next guy out for?
I think it was Taka and Shingo. I
It
think
was Taka
Shingo
and Shingo,
tapped
and
out Taka.
Shingo
Yeah.
beat him, and then it was Taichi, and they went to the 10-minute draw, I think. So then it went to Bushi and Doki, and Doki beat him, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
he
Doki
did.
beat him with the what's it called thing, the seatbelt, the seatbelt Penny does.
Yeah.
So yeah, Doki beat Bushi. Then Hiromu came out and they did the 10-minute draw. Even though Doki kind of had him pinned at the end with the same seatbelt thing, but the 10-minute draw ran out of time. And then we went to Yota and Yuya, and that was the final where like the last part of it was always going to be. They said ahead of time the 10-minute limit went away for the last part of it, so it was going to go on as long as it's going to go on. So yeah, Yota beat him, and it says that part was 1912 with the Gene Blast. It was a great finish too, where like he speared him twice and just like really just decisively put him away. It felt like a big deal since obviously, like you said, Yuya's beaten him, twice in a row before this. The match at Wrestle Kingdom, and then again at the match at that happened the night before we tapped him out with the arm breaker. What was the finish of their tag league match? Do you remember? I was trying to remember that.
And I don't know how I would get that because I'm not scrolling through
I can look it up.
pages of tag league.
I can look it up. Hold on.
Oh, if I do a cage match, I suppose. If I do a cage match,
cage match not going to tell you who pinned who. If you tell me the day,
no, it's not. You're right.
If you
tell me which day it was.
Yeah. Tell me which day it was, and I'll click on it because I'm just curious now.
All right, so this would be 21st of November.
Wow, was that early? It was that early in the tournament. Wow. So the result was okay. They were not involved in the pin. Taichi pins Zandokan with the Black Mephisto.
Okay. Yeah,
so Yoda, because that's what I wanted to confirm. Yoda did not pin Yuya in that match. So yeah, this was the first time Yoda pinned Yuya, unless they pinned him in some tag match that we're forgetting, which is possible, of course. But I think this was the first time Yoda pinned Yuya since they came back.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it.
How was you?
I really enjoyed the.
Okay, sorry. I think he pinned him on the road to Tokyo Dome. Oh no, that was Yuya pinning Yoda again. That's what okay. So yeah, I think it is the first time. Someone will correct us if we're wrong. But I think it was the first time Yoda pinned him.
All right, so where were we? the road to Tokyo Dome. It was Yuya yet again pinning Yota. Wasn't the first Road 2 show also of that pair before the Tokyo Dome? Wasn't that Yuya also getting a pin? And it may have been I can't remember who got the pin. I'm going to find out. So it's December 21st. It was you pinned Bushi in that one, the Deadbolts.
Okay.
That one, but
this was fun though. This was fun, especially the earlier part of the Faction Warfare Gauntlet was a little boring, especially the Naito Sonata part, unfortunately. Which is, like I said, unfortunate considering that's the world title match in a couple of weeks.
But look, even Naito's acknowledged that it's boring. He's like throwing his hands up. He's like, "What are we doing here? Come on, this guy stinks."
Naito doesn't give a shit. I don't know. Like, it's just the crowd reactions. Like, I don't know why they decided to do this 2 months in a row. Besides the fact that they had the idea to keep LIJ versus just 5 guys going, but they should have just fucking swapped it and done like Naito Taichi and Shingo Sonata or something, because like the problem with this feud, there's a lot of problems with this feud, but a big problem with this feud is they don't want to put Sonata in a position to be the heel. But like, if you're trying to get somebody over as a babyface, I don't think the crowd support for Sonata is quite as dire as some people pretend it is. But like, what you're doing here, the people who do support Sonata, they were fucking LIJ fans for the most part, the vast majority, which means they're always going to put Sonata behind Naito. So people who would cheer Sonata against lots of other people are not going to cheer him against Naito. So you're setting him up to look like a geek and look like he has no fan support, even less fan support than he actually does have. So I don't know why they thought this was a good idea to do 2 months in a row. but it's really hurting
when he's
Sonata.
injured as well. From what we've heard, Sonata's quite badly hurt. So let's go back to that one.
So it's really a really bizarre choice to do this 2 months in a row, and they, that first 10 minutes just had very little juice, and the Korakuen crowd was not very into it. I don't think the fans really think he has a chance in hell to beat Naito. If he does, I don't know what the fuck New Japan's thinking at this point. But that's kind of the big problem, I think. One of many big problems, I should say, with doing this 2 months in a row is I don't think anyone gives him much of a chance in hell of winning. So I don't know. It's just not good. The rest of it was better. And then really, Yuya and Yota was like the highlight. I mean, they worked their asses off here and made something out of this when, before that it was just kind of there. But these two were like, they're awesome together. They had a great. I thought this was even better than the Wrestle Kingdom stuff. So the Wrestle Kingdom match, I should say.
So can I ask you? Obviously, we've got these five guys facing off in singles matches at New Beginning in Sapporo Night 2, February 24th. So that is Bushi versus Taka, Hiromu versus Doki, Yota versus Yuya in the hair versus hair match, Shingo versus Taichi, and then the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, Naito against Sanada. Obviously, we're not going to preview that one now, but if you had to rank in terms of your own personal excitement, where does Naito Sanada fall?
Let me rank them. Let me say. Oh, yeah, sorry, you're going to give you.
No, you go first.
First place, easily Yota and Yuya. I don't see how. I really find it hard to believe anyone would disagree with that. Second place is kind of tough, and it's not between the two. Naito Sanada is not in the running for second place for me. I guess I would go Hiromu Doki and then Shingo Taichi. I like both those pairings a lot, and I can see both those matches being very good. So it's really they're almost tied for second. If I had to put one ahead, I guess it'd be Hiromu Doki, and then Naito Sanada fourth, and then Taka and Bushi fifth. So I mean, do you have a similar ranking?
Yeah, I would have Shingo Taichi as my clear second, and then Hiromu Doki third. I'm kind of into Bushi versus Taka, but I think it would be a bit disingenuous for me to say more than or equal to the world title match. I mean, it's a world title match, and I love Naito, and I like seeing him wrestle in matches where he's defending the title. So I don't know. I just have a feel that match may get eaten up on this Sapporo show when we've got this hair versus hair match, and also what I assume will be Okada's final New Japan match for a while at least. It
is interesting. It is interesting that show is really outselling night one. I don't know if you've seen this, but night two in Sapporo has a chance of a sellout. So I don't know what to take that as besides because a lot of those tickets would have been sold before they even announced that Okada was leaving. So you can't put it all on Okada's last match. And, I'm sure that is part helping the draw too. But yeah, they have a chance to sell that show out. I mean, the Royal seats are sold out for both shows. That's, of course, they almost always are. But the B section, the stand B, is completely sold out for night two. And then depending on what ticket site you look at, the other two seats sections, the floor seats, they call them arena seats, and the stand A, they show up as sold out on some of the sites too. I think it's only Lawson that still has them available. So because people don't know, there's 3 different Japanese ticket sites that New Japan uses. You kind of have to look at them all to get an idea. So night 2 might sell out. Night 1, not even close. I mean, all 4 of the other seat categories besides ringside are still available and still showing up as normal availability on all the sites last time I checked. So, night 2 always does better than night 1. So you always have to say that, almost always does better than night 1 on these 2 night shows. But I don't know if people are more into this LIJ versus just 5 guys thing than some people would have you believe. I don't know if it's all on, I'm sure Okada's last match, even though there's nothing announced yet. I'm sure people know it's, they've announced that's its last date, so some people are probably buying tickets for that. But, the Tanahashi versus Matt Riddle and Finlay versus Dolph Ziggler not exactly being a big competition with the night 2 so far. So,
well, it could be that haircut's just a big draw for the fans. We've got quite a lot of questions about the hair versus hair thing. So Yeah, well, no, two things actually. First of all, Suji said he wants to take the IWGP title from Naito. So that was quite surprising. So again, we'll file that one away for the future because
See, that
that
to
does
me
feel
was
like a big money match.
that to me was almost a spoiler for the fucking Naito Sonata, where like he should not be talking about that this early because it makes it even more obvious Naito's retaining, and now Suji's going to go into New Japan Cup with this big goal of winning it and taking the belt from his leader. I mean, maybe it's a red herring, but I kind of doubt it. So.
But yeah, a lot of buzz about this hair versus hair thing. So Enigma Bird says, I'm here to ask the important question. Who would look more beautiful with a buzz cut, Yota or Yuya? Multiverse Ace says, seeing either Suji or Yuya lose their wonderful hair will be devastating. Oh, I'm going to save that question for afterwards. But yeah, so how are you feeling on the hair versus hair thing? Talking purely about the hair. Because looking back, I thought Yuya looked very handsome with shorter hair.
I agree.
almost think there's a bit too much going on with his hair now. I like this kind of shaggy look where he almost looked like sort of Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon. He had that kind of vibe to him. So I think if I had to pick one of the guys to get a haircut, it will probably be Yuya.
I agree. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think Yoda wins and Yuya gets the haircut, but I'm a little worried since Yoda got the last win because I think Yoda really does not need the buzz cut at all. I think his hair is better and he needs to keep it. But it's definitely going to give that match added. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat for that match, rooting for Yoda Tsuji because I think he needs to keep the hair more than Yuya does. Because yeah, Yuya goes back to that like short hair. He looks almost Inoki-esque with the short hair, you know. So I liked him with the short hair. I think it'll work for him. I mean, he has to grow it back obviously once they shave it, but you know, the temporary humiliations they can help a Japanese wrestler.
Yeah, I wonder if he do like was it Wrestle Kingdom 12 where that Suzuki versus Goto and Suzuki snatched the buzzers away and did his own haircut.
That was such a great.
He wasn't going to have someone else cutting his hair, so I wonder if they might do something similar with that. But
that was such a great.
I'll be interested to see like how much hair is going to cut off. Is it just going to be like cutting off the long locks, or is it going to be like a full shave?
Yeah. Usually it's a full shave, right? I feel like
it should be. I think it should be.
Yeah. But yeah, so any more questions about the hair?
There was one. So this is the Multiverse Ace question. It says, who in wrestling history has benefited the most from a hair change? Austin became Austin with a bald head and goatee. Would he have reached the same levels with his blonde hair? So can you think of any other historic examples of guys who had a haircut and then it really improved things for them?
That's a good one. There's a really famous that Joshi hair versus hair match for like the beauty was the beauty pair that lost their hair. Or the Crush Gals? I think it was the Crush Gals actually, where they lose their hair and it doesn't just benefit them, but it like benefits the entire wrestling scene because like that famous image of them crying while they're getting shaved like inspired like an entire generation of Japanese girls to get into wrestling when they grew up, and then we had the amazing '90s Joshi boom. So. I don't know if a single haircut ever benefited wrestling at large more than that one. But
it's another good question here from Wilpool, who says, obviously we're devastated at the news of the hair versus hair. This is the last hair-related question, I promise. Do you feel that Despy has hit main event hair levels now? The blonde and the volume is really elevating him.
Yeah, his hair is great. He's got the main event star level hair, that's for sure.
That's it. That's the biggest tell if it were needed that this guy's going to be moving to heavyweight and pushed as a superstar. You could pencil him in as your early favourite for the New Japan Cup. All right, Matthew says, was this the best pair of Road 2 since the glory days of the Christmas Korakuen main event tags? The new gen. No, this is my notes. I said the new generation. So I thought the first night was outstanding. Second night, a bit patchy. I mean, I enjoyed the main event in the end, but I thought the first one was really, really brilliant stuff. And I think just in general, I'm really pleased with all the complaining that I've done about the young talent not getting focused enough. It really has felt like a tour where the new generation has stepped up from like Gabe and Henare, Finlay, Callum Newman, just like the War Dogs in general, and the Japanese guys, Shota, Ren, Yuya, Tsuji. It all feels like, they've read the room. They've realised that we need to step up to, put this company back on the map. And I think there's exciting times ahead.
I totally agree. I mean, all the fucking bitching and moaning people did leading up to Wrestle Kingdom about the fucking young guys supposedly not being in big enough spots. Like, first of all, they were on the card in singles matches or like a big marquee tag in the case of Umino and Narita, when like half the roster was in the pre-show battle royal because they didn't even make any attempt to put most of them on the show. So I'm like, I don't know where people got off thinking that wasn't, oh, they're not in big spots. They have a spot in the card at all.
Look, John, we had to fill out the podcast somehow. There's that much to talk
about. Well, you guys did complain a lot too, actually. So there you go. But yeah, I'm just like, they were on the card. They made it on the card at all. That's a big deal. But anyway, the other part of it is like, the moment Wrestling Kingdom ended, they started focusing on these young guys, and they've all had a great chance to shine. I like the Umino Narita match more than a lot of people did too. So in the last two Korakuens, so I thought that match was awesome. And if I have any critique of the way they've structured this tour, it's sort of made Ren feel like the lost boy, of the generation right after his heel turn, which I don't love, because it's like he loses that match to Umino clean at Korakuen, so Umino can move on to challenge Evil for the Never title at the end of the tour, which is a cool idea because it's like, they normally have these friggin' tours where like, they do the match with Evil and Tama and Umino and Narita right at the start of the tour, and normally on these split show tours they would just be paired up for the rest of the tour for no reason, when their match already happened. It's like building to a match that already happened, basically, which sucks. And here they changed it, and they were like, okay, well now Evil and Umino are going to have a match on this tour too, along with Despy and Sho having a match on this tour too. And they, we have two more matches to build to in these tags. It's not just having road to tags for no reason for the rest of the tour for these guys. So that was a cool idea. The problem is they don't have anything for Narita to do. So now for the rest of the tour, so he's just kind of like in this abyss with like, guys like Honma and Yujiro and, Makabe, like guys who don't do anything nowadays, where like, he's really, and Yo is another one that they're matched up on Osaka. Like they just don't have anything to do. So like putting Narita in that group that has nothing to do doesn't help him, especially when, Umino is challenging for the Never title, Shuji and Uemura having a hair match. It's like I would have structured the tour a little differently so the Umino Narita thing didn't peak so early and end so early, or at least give Narita something else to do for the rest of the tour too. Because
it feels like he needs to do something on either Osaka or Sapporo, like whether it's attack someone after a match, like something to get himself back and up there.
Yeah, because he just looks like he's completely aimless at the moment. And, I really want to see him as a heel do something besides, like, stalk Shota Umino and wear a robe or whatever. It's like he needs to go, like, fight Uemura or fight Tsuji or fight somebody else in his generation or step up to an older heavyweight or something. Why do they never do anything with Minoru Suzuki? I mean, I guess they're not really booking him, I guess maybe is the answer, but like he left their unit. Like he left Strong Style to join House of Torture, and they apparently don't give a shit, but I'm like, just like, that could have been an easy way. Like you really can't book Suzuki for Sapporo or Osaka and just have Narita beat him. Like at least that would give Narita something to do, and it would close the book a little bit on that Strong Style, that stupid Strong Style. They still announce Desperado is being part of, even though it's two people, and one of them hasn't been on a single New Japan show since the World Tag League. But I don't know. That's just my little rant on Narita. I think, like, if I was going to say, like, really, any critique for the young guys, I just think Narita needed something to do on the back half of this tour, too. But I hope he had something better to do, during the upcoming season. I hope they give him, like, a big signature win at New Japan Cup that kicks off a feud or something. Because he needs to get away from Umino for a while and, like, get out on his own as a heel and, like, be independent of Umino. Because right now he just feels like, here's Umino's designated rival. He beat him, so go away now, sir. We'll bring you back when Umino needs to feud with you again. Just kind of sucks. So.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. So I would like to see him do something in this, either Osaka or the Sapporo shows. Because you laid out a good case for it there. Let's move on to previewing New Beginning in Osaka, which will be this Sunday, February the 11th, at the Osaka Prefectural Gym, the Edion Arena. And a little
It's already sold
pluggeroo
out, by the way.
for... Oh, okay, yes. Well, there we go. We're so back. We have the preview and predictions written by, was it you and J. Michael wrote it on
Correct.
voiceswrestling.com?
Me and J. Michael wrote it. J. Michael wrote way more words than I did. I used to think I wrote a lot of
No
words about.
way! I can't believe
Yeah,
it.
I used to think I wrote a lot of words about New Japan Pro Wrestling, but like then he comes along and I'm like, okay, I don't write that many words at all actually compared to this guy.
He does use lots of words. I would love to get him on this podcast at some point.
He's
a little
awesome.
round table
He's
would
awesome.
be good fun.
Didn't he? Well, he did that episode with Booze.
Booze,
once.
yeah.
Yeah.
He had to be sort of drag kicking and screaming to agree to do it.
Oh, really?
I'll twist his arm. I'll get him back on the show at some point. But
It'd be really cool to do an episode with him. I mean, we've done so many written previews. Yeah.
But I will need your help with this one because the first match, Yo and Toru Yano versus Bolton Oleg and Ryusuke Taguchi. I have no takes, no opinions on this one. Help.
Well, I don't know if you read my preview, but this was where I was like, I start out my paragraph with like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to write about these two tag matches where the guys have barely been on the tour and they're not doing anything at all. Like this is not building anything that's just there. And of course, J. Michael had like 10 paragraphs to write about the two. So I'm like, okay, now I look like an idiot. Because it's like, yeah, John, you're too stupid to have anything to say about these B-show tag matches, undercard matches that aren't building anything, because J. Michael had a lot to say about them.
I'm sure J. Michael put more thought into it than Ghetto did when he booked it.
Probably. But yeah, there's like nothing here, right? I mean, look, the only interesting... there's nothing interesting about Yo or Taguchi. I mean, Yo, he's doing his Bugs Bunny character, and I don't know what the fuck like they see him in anymore. Like, because like it feels like he's like never in the mix in the junior division. Like maybe when Musashi, because Musashi from Michinoku Pro is gonna go. It just announced he's gonna go freelancer. So maybe he's gonna bring him in as a tag partner and like go for the junior tag titles. I don't know what else because he doesn't seem to have any future in the junior singles division. So, maybe that's where they're going to go with that. And Taguchi's Taguchi. I mean, he's practically a dad at this point. Yano is interesting to me just because he actually does take falls now, which is interesting. He used to, like I said earlier, he used to never take falls, and now he's become something of a lost post, which has been interesting to watch happen. And Bolton obviously is, like, what the fuck are we doing with this guy? He should be on excursion right now. It should be a very short excursion, just like, send
it to Siberia to wrestle a few bears and then come back immediately.
It should be a very short excursion, just like Fujita's was, and like he should be back right away and like, pinning dudes in the middle of the ring because this guy already looks like he has it. So, but yeah, I assume he's going to lose here, or maybe Taguchi, but he should start pitting guys immediately. Really.
The only thing I'm wondering about is Okada related, which I'm expecting at some point there to be set up some sort of chaos multi-man tag match, and I'm curious if Yo and Yano make the cut for that, if they're considered close enough to the sort of Okada Chaos inner circle to have that honour of being featured in one of his last pair of matches. And I think the second match, there's probably more to it than that, so I'm just going to skip on to that one. We've got Bishamon, Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto versus Callum Newman and Great-O-Khan. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting possibilities here. Just my chalk pick here would be that Bishamon win, and that sets them up as possibly challenging the winner of the tag title match later in the show. But yeah, the Callum Newman Great-O-Khan thing is also interesting to me because I do this a lot where I look at an undercard tag match and think, oh, this could be an angle. So I'm thinking, oh, this could be an angle. Maybe this is something, it gives us some narrative reason why Callum Newman and or Great-O-Khan cannot involve themselves in the cage match later on in the evening. Maybe this is the point where Great-O-Khan is like, right, fuck it, I've had enough of United Empire and attacks Callum Newman and deserts them or something. Or maybe they just lose the match and nothing happens.
Okay. It's interesting because, Bishamon haven't really been on this tour at all. I mean, I looked it up. Goto's been on 2 televised shows. I'm sorry, that's including New Year's Dash. So on the New Beginning tour, Goto's been on 1 televised show, and Yoshihashi's been on 2. So they really have not been on this tour. I assume they're like healing up. I know Goto in particular has been really banged up. dating back to last fall. But yeah, they really haven't been doing much of anything. I assume they'll both be in the New Japan Cup as kind of fodder more than anything, probably. I don't really see either of them getting a big push. So yeah, it's really about Ocon and Callum here and what they are going to be doing, whatever happens with United Empire after this show. And I guess we'll see if we get any kind of indication here.
Our third match, Tiger Mask, Tomoaki Honma, El Desperado, Shota Umino against Yujiro, Ren, Sho, and Evil. Not a huge amount to say here. Obviously, we're just setting the table for Despy versus Sho, which is a special singles match. That's not a title match, as far as I know.
Love that.
Despy's refused to give him a title shot,
so
which is very good.
So before I gave Ospreay the dumbest babyface of 2024 award, and Desperado should win the smartest babyface of 2024 award, because he actually was like, look, I don't have to give you a fucking title shot for attacking me backstage. You haven't won anything. The only thing Sho has won recently was the KOPW for 2 seconds, and even that was because Kanemaru handed it to him, And it's like he immediately lost it back to Taichi anyway. So like he hasn't won anything recently, and he's like, you don't get a title shot just for beating me up backstage. I'll give you a non-title singles match so I can beat the shit out of you for stealing my mask and beating me up backstage, but I'm not giving you a title shot. So that was great. Great move by Desperado. And that's, of course, happening in Sapporo. I believe night 1, but don't quote me on that. And yeah, Evil and Umino, that's a cool feud, too. I mean, I love Evil spray painting the belt. What'd you think of that when he spray painted the Never belt with all the black spray paint? I thought it was awesome.
Do you think that's a vehicle to doing something with the Never title, like rebranding it or redesigning it or something?
Oh, I just thought it was going to be like Umino's going to win it back and then like, oh, maybe they can redesign it.
He's just going to clean it. He's going to scrub it all nicely in the middle of the ring and everyone will share.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I could be wrong. But did you like that? I thought that was a cool angle.
Yeah, sure. Why not? There seems to be the done thing in New Japan these days with the heels defacing and destroying title belts. So I'm into it.
And then, like I said earlier, that's kind of where the rant came from, where you have like 3 jobbers here who, Tiger Mask, Yujiro, and Honma, and then also Narita, who has nothing to do either. So it doesn't look good for Narita, but what are you going to do?
And then we have the fourth match, which is the 10-man LIJ versus Just 5 Guys match. We've got Bushi, Hiromu, Tsuji, Shingo, and Naito against Taka, Doki, Yuya, Taichi, and Sanada. I think we probably covered this one from all possible angles. So what do you see as the most likely outcome here?
I don't know. I mean, do whatever
it feels like Sanada probably needs a win, right? We've got to give him something.
That'd probably be nice, I guess. Yeah, you could pin Bushi, I guess. But I mean, it really doesn't matter who wins this because they have another 10-man tag in Sapporo on night 1. So they could do whatever they want here, really. All
right, then fifth match we have Kazuchika Okada versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, which feels.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you see my preview for this match in the written preview?
Not yet. No.
I gave it 2 words. I gave it a 2-word preview. And I'm betting you can probably guess what those 2 words were. They were, in fact, "fuck this." That was my entire. I wrote. It says right there. Okada versus Tanahashi. John, fuck this. And then my prediction was, you think Okada is actually allowed to lose this? LOL. Okay. Because technically he's not under New Japan contract anymore, so I cannot see Tony Khan, letting him lose this match. But yeah, so I wrote 2 words. J. Michael then wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs right after my 2 words. It might be the biggest disparity in a single match preview, where I gave it 2 words and J. Michael wrote 8 paragraphs. But yeah, part of J. Michael's paragraphs was defending me, which I thought was funny. Because, I don't know, did you see on Twitter where I said something like, it was weeks ago now, but I was like, I'm really over the Okada goodbye tour. I wish he would just go already. I don't need to see more of it. I get that, I even said, I called myself a bitter New Japan fan. I was like, that's the perspective I'm coming to it from. And I get that it's really for the live fans in each city to say goodbye and all that. Korakuen and then Osaka and then Nagoya, Nagoya they already did, and then Sapporo. But I just feel like this is going on forever, and I don't really care. I just want him to move the fuck on already. I'm over it. I'm already I made my peace with the fact that he's leaving and putting over nobody. I just want him gone. But like, people got so fucking mad at me on Twitter for this take, and I had to hear from these fucking AEW stands telling me I'm anti-worker, quote unquote, because again, I didn't even say Okada.
You were going to stick up for the poor, beaten down, he's just scraping his pennies together because he's got Okada.
Yeah.
He needs to be defended.
The guy who owns a fucking Ferrari, it definitely, how dare I fucking, say the guy owns a Ferrari can't go make more money. I didn't even say that.
The guy who literally makes it rain money.
Yes. First of all, I didn't even say that. I didn't even say anything about him leaving or that I'm mad at him leaving or whatever. All I said was, I'm sick of the goodbye tour, and I wish it was over already. I don't need to see 3 more dates of it. That's it. Apparently, you're not allowed to say that anymore either, because people got so angry at me for that take. And I'm just like, whatever, guys. I don't know what to tell you. So, I don't know. I don't really have strong thoughts on this match, besides I'm sick of seeing him. I know the crowd will love him. I know they're going to react for the match, and, I'm sure the match will be whatever. I don't really care. I'm excited about Gabe Kidd. I'm excited about Umino and Tsuji and Narita and all these other guys until AEW steals them too. So I'm not interested in caring about. I don't really care what Okada does. He can do his little thing here and go show up in Boston for big business. With it's going to be something watching Okada and Mercedes Moné appear on the debut in AEW on the same night, probably. Like a year after, almost a year to the day after they were like doing the big New Japan pose at the end of the show together. It's like, okay, their partner. Yeah. I don't know.
Very much like you. I've run out of emotion when it comes to this.
I don't really like whatever. It's not in our control, right? I mean, we don't own stock in Bushi Road or AEW or anything. That's the other thing that gets me is the way people talk like they own stock in AEW. I'm like, you're not going to get rich if AEW is more successful. So calm the fuck down. It's okay.
I think it's interesting that this match has been placed below the Chase Owens Kenta tag title.
Good. That's what they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, I would be stunned. I would be stunned if Tanahashi wins this. So it's either an Okada win and, I don't know, more crying, if they want to do crying, that's fine. Or I don't know if it's going to be maybe some sort of angle to set up the 2 Sapporo matches. And it's hard for me to think who else outside of Chaos might be involved in that, because I thought, someone's, I think it was Andrew from our Discord, thought maybe there'll be some sort of House of Torture run in here that sets up.
Oh, I would. Do you know how happy I would be if the House?
They're all booked for Sapporo, aren't they?
I think they are. I would be so happy if the Okada and Tanahashi do the big teary stare down. They're looking at each other and crying, and all of a sudden the lights go out, and then they come back on, and Dick Togo's got the rope wire around Okada's neck, and then Narita takes that push-up bar, hits him in the face. Oh, I'd be so happy. But it's not going to happen. You think Okada's going to let himself look bad on the way out? Please.
Just count how many bumps he takes on the way out.
Him and Tana are going to have the big hug, and everybody's going to cry, and they're going to set up like Okada and Tana against Goto and fucking Ishii or whatever the fuck they're going to do, and everybody can, whatever. I don't care. I cannot stress enough that I do not give a shit. So I gave it 2 words. Because I did not really know I was going to do that 2-word preview. I just sat down, I started thinking about it. I'm like, I don't really have anything else to say about this. I don't really give a shit. I'm done with this. I really have nothing else to give on this topic that I haven't already given between Twitter and Discord and all these other places where people like fucking put words in your mouth if you dare say anything except I love AEW and it's great that Okada's getting even more money. So if you say anything else, people get very, very angry. So whatever. Go. Like you famously said, they should just get in the ring and compare each other's bank accounts. Everybody should stand up and applaud and cheer. Thank you, Okada, for showing us your bank account. We're so happy for you that you got millions of Tony bucks. Hooray!
I think Tanahashi should pull out a knife and stab Okada.
There you go.
Another match I don't care about is the IWGP Tag Team Championship match.
I was going to say, Tana knows what that's like.
Yes, they were, exactly. Finish the story, Tana.
Yeah, this match is fucking stupid because, like we said earlier, like why They refuse. They have so many chances. This is another chance they had to unify these two redundant sets of tag team titles. Look, I think most of the time when people say New Japan has too many belts, they're kind of over-exaggerating. Most of their belts serve an actual purpose, but like they do not need the IWGP tag team titles and the strong openweight tag team titles. There's no reason for the strong belts to exist. They don't run enough shows in America anymore to justify an American set of tag titles. It's just a second set of tag titles for no reason. We already have the junior tag titles, which actually does have a reason to exist. So do not, like, these belts should have been unified immediately after Wrestle Kingdom. They haven't done it, so I can only assume that ELP and Hikuleo are going to lose the fucking IWGP tag titles here at Chase and Kenta and continue on as strong tag champions because whatever, I guess. We got to keep these two fucking sets of tag titles going, which is so fucking stupid.
Yeah, this is what I have heard, that Chase Owens and Kenta probably going to win here, and I guess Bishop will be the next challengers, but that's stinky. I don't like it, and I don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you what I will say. Kenta's backstage promos where he was waiting for Chase Owens to leave before kissing the fatty cameraman, that was more compelling than any other build to this match. So, well done, Kenta. At least he's got that going for him. Right, seventh match is a special singles match. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson. Zach's got to win this. This has to be his year. He needs to have the rocket strap put on him all the way. Give him a run with the world title, and it starts here. I think he's got to beat Bryan Danielson, and I know I'm kind of deep in the weeds with this sort of New Japan AEW tribalism, and I may just be sort of setting myself up for failure here, but I will be quite annoyed if Zach loses this one.
I mean, this is like the first match on the show, I feel like, where you're just like, okay, this is going to be really good, probably with no caveats or, I mean, there's basically a two-match show, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. But the two matches look really, really good. And this is one of the two that look really, really good. I mean, their match at Wrestle Dream last year in AEW was fantastic. I had an 8th on my match of the year list. It finished, I think, 5th on the final Voice of Wrestling match of the year list. Do you submit to that, by the way? I can't remember.
Yeah, I did, but I just put all New Japan matches on mine.
I almost did too. What did you put as your match of the year? I'm just curious.
The same as everyone else. Kenny,
Omega. Okay.
Ospreay from
I did too. So it's nothing to be ashamed of there. What was like second, third? Do you remember?
Second, I think I did G1 Final, Naito Okada. And then third, I had Wato Titan, Best of Super Juniors.
Oh, okay. So those both were my top 5 too. So there you go. You're a man of culture. I think I had like Naito Okada 2, Naito Ospreay 3, and then Wato Titan 4. So it was a good year for high-end New Japan matches.
Yeah. I would interject to say, listeners, I have tabulated finally the results from a year-end awards poll. I'm not going to do them this week. I don't know when I'll do them. Just at some point, I'll just throw them out there when interest in them has completely eroded to zero. But they are ready.
There you go. But yeah, back to this match, Danielson and Sabre. It's kind of like this is like the good and the bad of the partnership, right? Besides the very bad of them stealing the wrestlers, but like the good and the bad. The good is you get to see Bryan Danielson in an environment that he clearly loves performing in. I mean, I don't know if you heard my audio of wrestling during the Omakase, where I was talking about how they played this Danielson Okada video before the Wrestle Kingdom match. And I'm sitting there with Nicole, and obviously Nicole, my partner, she's not like a wrestling fan. She doesn't know, she doesn't really know anything about this stuff besides what I tell her. But we're sitting there and watching this video, and Danielson starts talking about how the only place I ever wanted to wrestle in was New Japan. New Japan is the most important thing to me. I'm going to tell my grandkids about this. Like, he's putting this over so much. And Nicole turns to me and she's like, AEW let him say this shit? And I was like, I don't know. I guess they did. Because he's putting over New Japan to such a degree that it sounds like he's almost more into wrestling there than AEW. Like, he might as well have been like, if New Japan and AEW offered me the same money, I would be in New Japan in a heartbeat. Like, that's basically what it came off like. But so he gets to come and wrestle in this environment where, he's allowed to excel. It's not TV wrestling. He could do wrestle in front of a different kind of crowd too than an American crowd. So that is obviously the good. The bad is this match has no fucking build at all. Like, this match feels so much colder than it should be because they haven't interacted on this tour at all.
I keep forgetting that this match. I scroll down. I'm like, oh
Yes.
wow, it's on this show.
Because Zach can talk about it. Danielson, for some reason, isn't even allowed to talk about it on AEW TV. So, like, he's doing all this stuff with the CMLL guys on AEW TV. As you just watch AEW, you'd have no idea this match was happening. I've had, like, 3 different people, like, between, like, Voice Wrestling Slack and some other places ask me because they know that I'll know. Like, when is Zach and Danielson happening? Like, people have no clue. So, you know, it is that part of it sucks. It's like, can't they? Like, they really can't let Danielson go on fucking Collision and talk about this match or something, so people know what's happening. Like, you can't do that for New Japan, there, partner. I don't know. Just really, it really does suck. Like, they can't let Danielson put this match over at all. And the fact that he hasn't put it over even one teeny bit makes me think 2 things. One, they're not that interested in Zach, which, I mean, because if they're interested in Zach, they'd probably be trying to, like, peel him into the AEW frame more. And 2, they, Danielson probably is losing this match, which is probably another reason why they don't want
they don't want anyone to see
it. Yeah, they don't want anyone to see it. But, obviously I might be reading too much into things there, but that's just honestly what I think.
Well, look, after seeing Tony Khan's tweets after the Rossi Ogawa situation, I don't think anyone can deny that he's a petty man, so it wouldn't shock me.
But yeah, so that's just my theory. And then, like, this is going to be great, though. I mean, they'll get to wrestle in front of a Japanese crowd. Zach probably was exaggerating a little bit when he once said that performing technical wrestling in front of a U.S. audience is like reading Shakespeare to a dog. But he's not entirely wrong either. I mean, it's not most American crowds, especially AEW crowds, like, favorite form of wrestling. The last time around, too, they did, like, this finish that really left things open-ended, with they had the big feud over who's the best technical wrestler, and then Danielson just knocks him out with the Bushiaku knee kick. So it's like Zach pointed out afterwards, like, that didn't, you knocked me out and pinned me. You didn't tap me out. So that was a good finish to set up the rematch. I think it would be cool if Zach won this by pin, because then, he kind of looks a little bit like a hypocrite, and it sets up a third match that you can still do. But yeah, he could get the pin here with either, like, a wacky cradle, or I would prefer with the Zach
count
driver.
out. I want to count out.
No count out win. With the Zach, I want him to pin with the Zach driver. That's what I want. And then it leaves open-ended, who the best technical wrestler is, and you could do a third match, maybe even an all-in or whatever. But yeah, this should be fantastic. I mean, these are two of the best wrestlers. I don't know, best overall, right? I think they're 2 of the best wrestlers ever. I think they are. I mean, I think most people would agree with Danielson. Zach, I think some people might disagree, but I do think he's, like, one of the best ever to do this. Certainly one of the best technical wrestlers to ever do this, but I just probably think one of the best ever to do it. So, period.
Yeah, with such a unique style as well. Yeah, can't wait for this one, and I hope this is launching. This is the launching platform for Zach having a really great 2024, because he's a guy that definitely should be stepping up this year, and a guy I think should be elevated into the main event scene. So very much looking forward to that. So that brings us on to the main event, steel cage match, no time limit. So this is going to be starting off 1 versus 1. So we get a new member coming in every 2 minutes until all 10 men are in. Then it's pin or submission. So as you mentioned, John, so Finlay requested that Ospreay start opposite him, and says that Bullet Club are going to start off with the 2-on-1 advantage. So
because Ospreay gave him the right to do that.
Yes,
like a complete idiot.
Ospreay's an idiot. We know this. This is not a secret. Ospreay would not deny that. But one thing I found interesting reading the preview on the website, the website preview says Cobb, Henare, and Akira, they've all been declared part of the lineup as planned. It's acknowledged their injuries. It says despite their injuries, they're all going to be in the match. So I don't know if they've sort of kayfabed it. The Jeff Cobb one was the one where I was thinking, is he going to get pulled from this match? But according to the website, it's acknowledged that he's carrying an injury, but says that he's still going to be taking part. But I just think that, we talked about it earlier, I think the build to this has been outstanding. They've done a really fantastic job just tying so many different threads and layers of drama into this one, where, we've got the junior tag feud situation. We've got Drilla Maloney and his bicep injury. We've got, Gabe and Henare tearing chunks out of each other. We've got the TJP situation, or everyone's looking at him thinking, is he going to do something? Is he going to turn on someone? I've said before that Akira, I think he's like the heart and soul of this feud at the moment, where he's garnered a lot of really good babyface sympathy, where he said, look, he just wanted to be the best junior tag team in the world, and he says that like that crown's gone now, so he's got nothing left to fight for. He didn't sign up for any of this stuff, and so we've all got all these different layers. And this is somehow, people have stopped talking about the fact this is Will Ospreay's ostensibly his last match in New Japan. So the fact that Ospreay's, I won't say an afterthought, but not front and center. This is not like, oh, it's Ospreay's last match, everyone cry about it. Is brilliant, and a credit to everyone involved that it just they've set the table for this, and it feels like, you know, United Empire is this, I don't know, house of cards or something, and probably Ospreay, something will happen to him or involving him. It feels like that will put out that piece at the bottom, and the whole thing comes tumbling down. And you kind of feel that if we end up, the closing of this match is that, oh, United Empire are fine and they're going to carry on and they'll be all right, that would kind of be a disappointment. It feels like the whole thing needs to just blow up and start from scratch. But I can't wait for this match. This is going to be brilliant. There's so many great wrestlers and nutty wrestlers involved that there's going to be some absolutely crazy shit happening. And of course, again, like I said, we just keep forgetting that Will Ospreay is going to be in this match, because he's so like not really involved in the build to it at all. He's obviously not been in Japan. That's just another added layer of that. So just fantastically built all round, and I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, I think you got to give Ospreay credit for what you just said, because he's leaving the company. He didn't have to play ball. I mean, we've seen another example of a guy leaving the company who didn't fucking play ball, who we just talked about. And like Ospreay, for whatever other faults he has, I'm not going to trying to downplay anything else involving Will Ospreay. God knows there's stuff. But like he played ball on his way out of this company. He made this final match. He could have requested, my last match, I want to have me versus Callum Newman, and everybody cries, and we all say goodbye, and goodbye, Ospreay. He made it into a fucking blood feud. He put the focus on his teammates, by not even appearing in most of this tour. And, he really, like, he did something with his last match that actually feels, useful to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Unlike what I think we're all expecting from Okada. So, it's like that he deserves some credit for that. I mean, he made this about his unit. He clearly cares deeply about the United Empire and also the wrestlers that were in it with him. And, I think he did something good here. So wanted to give him credit.
Sorry, not just about his unit, but also about Bullet Club. Like it feels like they're front and center of this as well. So, both sides are getting tremendous rub and heat from this.
Yeah. So I think he deserves credit for that. The other thing I will say about about the match in general, because you really covered it pretty well, but like just the fact that they've done such a great blood feud here, and just really put things over as like, this feud between these two sides that just feel so diametrically opposed to each other. They just feel like they have different philosophies, which is always tough to, like, LIJ and Just Five Guys are doing a feud right now. It's tough to feel like these are two diametrically opposed units. And I get that they're not really going for a blood feud or anything with that, but like they don't even really feel like they're that different. It feels like, maybe just because Sonata came from LIJ, it just doesn't feel like these are two super different units, like really having a clash of styles or whatever. These two units faced together could not feel more different from each other. Even though when United Empire started, I think a lot of people looked at it as kind of similar to Bullet Club, where it's like, oh, another unit of foreigners, but they really they managed to carve out their own niche in the company, become very popular. I don't know if people, sometimes I feel like Western fans don't even realize just how popular United Empire became in Japan. Like just the amount of merch they have in the crowd and stuff is really, really high. I mean, they became a very popular unit. But yeah, I mean, like they carved out their own niche of being this unit full of foreigners without really, doing the Bullet Club thing at all, which I thought was cool.
Can I just chip in and say, in our year-end awards, they came second in the favourite faction poll, which
what was first?
LIJ.
Oh, they always win, right?
And third, TOTK.
Yeah, I mean they've been good. But yeah, so like they they're very popular. They've done the role well, and they did all this during COVID too, which is like, clap crowds for most of their run, which is even more impressive. So, give them their flowers. If they're going to end, they've been a hell of a unit, and this is. I just hope they do the right thing here and have the War Dogs win. I hope they don't decide at the end here that to have United Empire win and give Ospreay the big teary goodbye, because I feel like that would be the wrong move. Like, the War Dogs should win this.
Yeah, totally agree. I think I do not want the same thing to happen to United Empire that's happening with Bullet Club, in as much as we're getting, the black and gold or whatever it is, Bullet Club gold happen in AEW. I don't want to see like the AEW version of United Empire with Ospreay and Aussie Open or whatever. So I think kill it now.
Well,
They've had a good run.
I don't think you have to worry about that anyway, because they put like the other United Empire, the other Aussie Open guy is injured again, and Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher. They kind of like, for a while he still had the United Empire logo and everything, but they put him with Don Callis, and now he has like these red tights and he's Ring of Honor TV champ. I just feel like they went in a totally different direction with him. So I don't know. I feel like
that's reassuring.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just been built up to the point where, like, I'm genuinely worried someone's going to get really badly hurt in this. Like, it feels like someone might die in this match. Like, God forbid, I talk in jest, but just that's the level it's been escalated to. So, yeah, it feels like this should be basically Bullet Club destroying United Empire completely, and then some other stuff can grow from the ashes there. But yeah, tremendously excited for this match. I mean, yeah, like you said, the show in general, it's a two match show, but this main event feels like it should have match of the year ceiling on it.
Do you want to talk about, by the way, because I don't know why I just thought of this, but like, we were talking about, completely different topics, so it's okay if you want to cut me off and talk more about Osaka, but I just thought of this. We were talking about the young wrestlers in New Japan, right, and how they've been focused on during this tour. Have you looked up what Kaito Kiyomiya is doing in Noah right now?
No, go on.
So he is on their big show from Sendai, where Kano lost the GHC title to El Hijo de Wagner Jr. He was fifth from the top in a tag match with Ryohei Oiwa, defeating Yoshinari Ogawa and Yu Owada. He's feuding with Ogawa, who is people don't know who Ogawa is. He's very, very old. Just an old man. I don't know what else to say. Like, he's always kind of like floated between junior and heavyweight. That's what Kaito is doing. He's in an undercard feud with Ogawa.
So surely they know he's on his way out. He's joining New Japan. So they've just shuffled him away in the undercard.
You joke. I kind of wonder if they're just like waiting for this guy to leave.
He should do the invasion during the Okada Tanahashi match. A complete shoot. Just come in and just start laying into Okada.
I kind of wonder if they're waiting for this guy's contract to be up. I don't know anything about Noah contracts and when they're up, so I have no clue. But
imagine if they do it. Imagine if they actually do that. If Kiyomiya comes out and one of the Sapporo matches is Okada laying down for Kiyomiya, who then joins New Japan. I would forgive everything if they did that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with Kaito. It's when I looked at, because this popped up in my feed, and I'm just like, what is Kaito doing? He's facing Ogawa. I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Well, that is all I have to say about New Beginning Osaka. So, John, thank you so much for stepping in. It's been great chatting to you. Any pluggaroos you want to get in here before we say that?
If you want to read about New Beginning Osaka, read all the stuff I just said out loud. You can do that on thevoiceofwrestling.com. That preview just went up today. If you want to hear Wrestling Omakase, we just did an episode a month ago, which is, better than like 8 months ago.
We just did one.
Yeah. Just did one a month ago, but that was live from Japan, where I appeared with the world famous Bebler, and also with Paul from the Emerald Flow show on this very network. So yeah, we did that from Japan after Wrestle Kingdom, and had a good time. I miss Japan so bad. I know I'm a weeaboo and all that, but like, oh my god, Nicole mentioned to me yesterday today, like how much she missed like Fammy Cheeky, which are like those the family chicken, like boneless chicken for people who've never been to Japan. It's like just like the sheer amount of like amazing food and drink you can get in a convenience store there for like 200 yen is so crazy. That's the one
thing. I miss
thing
the vending machine, like the drinks vending machines.
Yeah,
getting like a little hot can of like onion soup. I miss shit like that.
It's so crazy. I don't know what they're doing with food and drink that everyone else is not doing, but it's so weird how cheap it all is and how good it all is. But yeah, so you can listen to me on that. Also, I was on the Draft podcast, which I thought was on the Voice Wrestling Network, but isn't. But it's hosted by Griffin and Sean, who are Voice Wrestling contributors. So I don't know why it's not on the network. But yeah, you can find that on Spotify, I think, if you look for the Draft. I don't know. But
yeah, I listened to that. That was the Wrestle Kingdom episode, right?
Oh, you did? Oh, you listened to it? Cool.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
Big fan
I
of the
won.
Draft.
I won the poll. So
nice. I also won mine, so we should be going through to some sort of champions round in the future.
Exactly. Well, you got to bother Griffin and tell him what champion draft. I mean, look, that was like, people don't know, that was like a Wrestle Kingdom participant draft. So anyone who was on any Wrestle Kingdom, and I was up against Sean and Griffin. Griffin decided to go in a really bizarre.
He's the highlight of these draft episodes because he always does some like nutty thing, and it's usually related to TNA.
Yeah, he did a really bizarre TNA. I had never listened to the show, so I didn't know he was doing that. I didn't know that was a regular thing for him. But yeah, he did a really bizarre TNA. Like basically took all the TNA guys. He put Okada against Kevin Nash, like second from the bottom, which was awesome. I applauded that. But yeah, so he only
that is good booking.
But he only drafted TNA guys though, so that made it like very easy for me to draft whoever I wanted. And it's pretty much it's basically just me versus Sean. And I do think I put together a better card than Sean. So I have to say, Sean, God bless Sean, he's a great guy. But I did like most people seem to agree.
Well, not everyone thinks he's a great guy. Let's not go down that road. If you know, you know.
But yeah, so let me see what the final percentage was. I know I had like 50%, I think, at least. So I'm bragging about this thing. Most people will probably never.
You're taking the end of this podcast episode to take a victory.
Yeah. 64%.
That is a landslide. Result.
Yeah.
That's a destruction.
Everybody loved me. So they love my card when I did Naito Nakamura as the main. So of course I'm going to win. Please. But yeah, so you can listen to that too. Hear my landslide victory on the draft. And I guess, I don't know. Follow me on Twitter. I never get my Twitter handle though, so look for me. You'll find me. I'm on there.
Just
look through Tony Khan's. Look through Tony Khan's replies, and you'll find me. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. All right, thank you again, John. You can go to redcircle.com/show/super-j-cast if you want to throw some money our way, and if you send me proof of purchase, I may even let you in the Discord. I might even let you in the deli. So there you go, just dangling that in front of you. At Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/super-jcast for our t-shirts. Big thank you to editor Dan, who is on Twitter at LousyHero219. Follow us on Twitter at SuperJcast. Thanks everyone for listening, and goodbye.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the co-hosts of Jumping Bomb Audio, the podcast all about Joshi Pro Wrestling here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Every other Monday, we are with you talking about the biggest news in Joshi, along with show reviews, previews, and much, much more.
So if you're new to Joshi or you've been a longtime fan, this is the show for you. We've got something for everyone here. So check us out, Jumping Bomb Audio.